Hi, welcome back. My name is Thaddeus Lawrence, and if you're joining us as a familiar friend or family, welcome. And if you are new to our series, our podcast, and all these amazing topics of learning that's coming at you, you're welcome as well. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the secret of self control. The secret of self control, to control oneself. What does that mean, actually, for you to control yourself? Because we hear that all the time. People say, I'm out of control. I'm lacking self control. I don't have the discipline, or I'm lacking the drive, and everything that comes out, including being triggered, being distracted, and being run ragged by life, really, and not feeling like you are in the driving seat of life. So what does it mean for you to have self-control and for you to master anything in your life, to be a master in business, to be a master in creating success, to be a master in making more money? It actually begins with you. In other words, you want to be an excellent money manager, be an excellent you manager. If you want to be an excellent life manager, be an excellent you manager. In other words, brings us back to self-management, and a big part of self-management is your self-control. So let's run through a few ideas here in terms of how you might create or maintain that self-control, that control over yourself. Let's begin with an easy one. An easy one here is, first of all, to master your physical environment. Why is that so important? Your physical environment is an extension of you. Your physical environment is a representation of your psyche. In other words, your outer world reflects your inner world. There's a saying in Chinese that if you want to understand the fish, jump into the water. If you want to understand the songbird, go to the mountains. And if you want to understand as a coach, when I want to understand my coachee or my clients, I'll go visit their home, or at least be able to look around their home. Because their external environment, their physical environment, how they live, tells me how they live their life on the inside. So your physical environment is an extension of your psyche. And in the same way, your physical environment affects your psyche. In other words, if you were to live in a mess, if I was to put you in this famous experiment that was done multiple decades ago, that was abandoned because of its horrific results, was when they had brought a group of testers into a prison, a make-believe prison, where they had half the group play the role of the prison guards and half the group play the role of prisoners. And it was pretty horrific insofar as it brought up extreme cruelty in these experimenters, these people who were part of the experiment and playing the role of the prison guards. Why? Because they were living in the prison cell, playing the role of a guard within a prison. So in the same way, when I start having you live in a place of filth and disorderliness, well, guess what? That physical environment is going to affect your inner world. That outer disorderliness is going to create an inner disorderliness. And so that's why one of the fastest, easiest way for you to attain that self-control in your inner world, to master your own self, is to first, well, clean up the world that you live in, clean up your desk, clean up your workspace. In other words, control your physical environment. That's number one. Number two is for you to control your social environment. Control your social environment. If you're going to be hanging out with a bunch of crooks, chances are you're going to be doing very well as a crook. You might remember the children's fable story, Oliver Twist, a boy who came from a really good boy by all measurements of childhood. Once is put together with a group of thieves, he began to pick up the tools of the trade and become quite a good pickpocketer. So, in other words, if your social environment is filled with people who are at the mercy of distractions, who are easily triggered, people who lack self-control, well, the chances are you're going to be lacking self-control yourself. So if you want to control yourself, hang out with people who are successful, people who are masters in terms of how they think, how they behave, and how they create results in their life. Right? Change your external environment, and you will change your internal environment. So these first two, we're looking at first the external being your physical environment as well as your people, which is your social environment. The third of this external environment has got to do with your digital environment. Your digital environment. Uh, if you are living in a world where your days are filled with a multitude of pings, ping, ping, ding, 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 your WhatsApp is going on, your messages are going off, your emails notifications are coming on, your social media, all your different apps. And we know people like this, don't we? There are always noises coming up. Something's vibrating somewhere. There's something that's ringing somewhere. There's something ding, ding, that's going off somewhere. What happens? These are all multitude of triggers, an avalanche of triggers that want a little bit of you, that want a little bit of your attention, that want a little bit of your time. They're all jumping, crawling, fighting over themselves just to get a little bit of your energy and your time. And when you're pulled in these multiple directions, and believe you me not, uh, and you would know this for yourself that every single time one of these beeps, one of these sounds, one another, when you go onto your email and you're saying 645 emails or 1,120 messages, it actually puts a stress on your system, puts a stress on your nervous system. And now your nervous system has to run wild and run crazy, trying to work around all this and try to solve all this. So the suggestion here that, well, more than a suggestion, a very high recommendation is for you to declutter your digital environment. Whatever it is that you don't read, unsubscribe, whatever groups that you're not in or that are just spamming you or that you derive no value, get out of them. Unsubscribe, delete, uninstall. The key thing here is this, is either you're receiving value or you're adding value. If neither is happening, it's time to get out of that, time to declutter. So where are we so far? We've had a look at controlling your physical environment, controlling your social environment, controlling your digital environment so that you get to control your own inner environment, which is, say, yourself. The next thing here as well, when it comes to self-control, is for you to understand and manage your own emotions. When you're out of control, that means you are actually seeking, you're being pulled towards a particular emotional experience, whether it's of pleasure or of elation or whatever that might be, an instant gratification. We're not saying here that you need to avoid your emotions. Please do not avoid your emotions. Please do not become a walking dead, which is to say that you don't feel anything. You know, the whole point for you is to be completely alive as a human being, fully functional human being, rather than for you to be like a robot or a plank of wood, for that matter. So the key thing here is really to be on to yourself, to understand what are my drivers, whatever it is that I'm doing or not doing, for that matter. What is my body, what's my being seeking? What is it seeking in the form of an emotional experience? Because that is that addiction, that is that drug. Instant gratification is a drug. Instant gratification is an addiction. Pleasure is also a drug, also uh, an addiction. So be on to yourself. Notice what is it that you have been seeking. The moment you know what is it that's been stopping you, that thing begins to lose some of its power, some of its hold over you. And then the next step that you take, if you so desire to regain control over yourself and over your life, is now to be able to look into some of the strategies, some of the techniques, some of the practices that could release the hold of this emotional experience on you so they can go forth and be self-authoring. That is to say that you get to author this next stage, this next chapter of your life. In other words, to be creative, to create the life that you want, to create the results that you want to have in your life. And all that, whatever it is, the success that you want to have, the success that you want to have mastery over, begins first with self mastery, which is say control yourself first. Be the best self manager. So, from me to you, I hope this has been revealing to you in some way, if at the very least, for you to have one kind of a bulb or moment to say, okay, great, you know, from here, I'm going to tidy up my room, or I'm just going to clear the mess out of the corner of my desk. Or perhaps I need to stop hanging out with this particular person or group of persons. Or maybe I need to declutter some of my digital space. Or maybe I just need to, well, just pause for a moment and take a look into myself. What has been the emotional experiences that I've been chasing? And then so thereby releasing some of its hold from me. take one thing, practice it, do it, and then watch things change for you. Be in control of that. So my name is Thaddeus Lawrence. I'm looking forward to seeing you and having you join us again in our next episode. Take care and be well.